Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, my beautiful empresses. Welcome back to Embody Your Empress, this podcast where we open your mind up to new perspectives, a new way of thinking, and really give you the tools to step into that Empress energy. You might recognize this voice, recognize this face. We have the wonderful, the amazing, the very tuned in Sheila Langan back with us today. Thank you, Sheila, for joining us once again on Embody Your Empress.
A pleasure. And as I'm sitting here, I'm loving the flowers in your background. That's
Ah,
very Empress vibes. They're beautiful. Are they roses?
they are cherry blossoms.
Oh,
Mm.
magic.
We've got the beautiful feminine going in as well.
You do. I can't see what flowers they are, but I can see, and the color is beautiful. So yeah, love that vibe.
You know me, I love some pink, Sheila. I love me some pink. Everyone knows it's my color now. I'm so excited to invite you back. This is I don't want to say part two, it's just an extension of our conversation that we have already shared with everyone. We went into so many topics and details and ideas and perspectives and energy shifts the last time we spoke that we both really felt cool to come back and just really connect in on one of the most important things for us as women, and that is just coming back to what we can actually do to implement this beautiful, amazing witchy woo woo magic in our everyday life, right? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. And I know literally as we sit down to record this, we have both had conversations this week as the universe gives us that has nudged us in this direction. Do you want to share, Sheila, what's been happening for you this week to kick us off?
Sure. Happy to. And yeah, and I'm excited for this conversation too, because there's parts of this that we haven't shared before. And so I'm excited to hear, that your side of this too. So what we had both said coming into this was we want to be really practical. We're witchy women, but we want to have a really practical conversation. Like, how has that shown up in our lives? How is that different? And so the example that I had from this past, I would say, yeah, past kind of 10 days is I was having just one of those challenging days, one of those mornings where the way I describe it is I feel like I was pushing shit up a hill. And it's that, God, I just, how much more shit do I have to push up this hill sort of feeling? And what I was saying is the old coding and the old Sheila and the, corporate Sheila would have gone, I suck it up and I just have to, I'm not organized enough. I haven't worked hard enough. I just have to do more. I have to lean into this, swallow the discomfort and keep going. And, but witchy Sheila, spiritual Sheila that's in touch with more feminine energy now, a combination of both energies, understood that actually what I had been feeling was I just had been stuck in a gear of giving out too much energy. And I just needed a reset. I just needed a day where I just allowed energy back into me so that I just felt that balance again and felt like I had, more to give. And so what I do is I call it I'm going into receive mode today. And I spent the whole day and I declare it. I say it to myself. So, and it feels really uncomfortable when you do this, because it is the opposite of what your brain is telling you needs to happen. It's like, no, 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 red alert, get back to work. And I'm going, no, I'm going to play hooky today. I'm going to take the day off and go hang out with the horses. And I am just going to sit here and receive all the love and enjoy every moment of today and just do everything that my heart wants to do today and follow that. And and it feels amazing. And I declare it to the universe. I say, universe, I am open for all the magic and the miracles today, and I expect them. And then I go about the day. And when I did that, I got a phone call that day that turned into a four-figure client this week, that turned into two more four-figure client leads this week. And women are, these are women that we've been messaging back and forth, and I've been going, oh my God, I am so excited for the magic that we're going to create together. Like this is why I do this work. And I know I can tell you for certain that wouldn't have happened had I not gone into receive mode that day. So that's my example from the last week of how the witchy side of me, the feminine energy side of me behaves differently than the old masculine. So I'm curious for you, how
Mm.
does it show up for you? Your witchiness, your spiritual side, how does
Yeah.
she show up for you? And what's the old way would have been this and the new way is this, and what happens?
It's so similar, Sheila. Like, because I was thinking, a lot of people talk about daily practices. I do this daily, daily, daily thing. And for me, I'm like, no, it doesn't work. The daily checklist, just ticking a box,
Yeah,
that's not spiritual, Sarah. That's
yeah,
not how I get my juices flowing. That's not how I tune in and connect. To have a timer going, you're going to do 20 minutes of meditation in a day, and then you're going to go outside for 5 minutes, and then you're going to go and you're going to do some visualization for 10 minutes. I don't have a structure. I don't have a daily routine. I do practices. I do them intuitively and when I'm
yeah,
called to do them. I do things every day. Whether I am conscious of what I'm doing by this point,
yeah,
probably not. A lot of it, especially my visualizations, come through very subconsciously. Like before we were talking today, I was visualizing, doing a visualization practice, not because I thought I have to, because I'm jumping on this call with Sheila, but
yeah,
because I was intuitively called to put my energy in that space to make this a better conversation. So for me, very really similar circumstance. I like to stay stuck in the like say I was stuck in the mud. That's my phrasing of when I'm in that clunky heavy human, tired, fatigued, my plate is too full, I feel stuck in the mud. I can't
yeah,
move forward, I can't move backwards, I can't even take a breath. You're trying to like pull your gum boots out of that mud that's sinking in, and you're getting nowhere. That's how I was feeling this week with a lot going on, sick kids, real life stuff,
mm,
the real human, but also expanding my capacity of what my comfort zone was. Like I have two
yeah,
speaking engagements this week. I have a couple of recordings for the potty. There was a lot of capacity expanding for me, which was pushing out of my comfort zone and giving me that, oh, we're growing feeling. It's not comfortable. So
yeah,
on top of the real human life, and it just made my energy suck out. Like it was just completely gone. And again, old Sarah would have been like, suck it up. This is what you asked for. You want the family life, you want the beautiful business creation, you want to be out there spreading these beautiful messages. Like, this is what you asked for. And yeah, I do, but I don't need to come at it from a drained energy. So I actually took the pressure off myself. Instead of the push, 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 like you've just got to suck it up and keep
yeah,
going, I actually, and this is my cycle as well. My cycle was just coming through menstruation. So, like, had a bed day. I was just like, I am
yes,
having a day in bed and I'm doing it. And I canceled a few things that were not high priority just to be like, actually, I'm going to put myself first.
mm,
And
mm,
I didn't answer any messages that weren't a must do right now. Like, I'm sorry, friends. I love you, but I just had to have a day. And everyone that is close to me understands that as well. And I think that's the beautiful part of being really open and sharing what's actually truly going on for you at the moment. Going, I can't get back to you right now. If I don't, you know why.
yeah,
And I did. I just had a beautiful day where I just lay in bed and I actually had a nap, which I never do. Even when I was working crazy shift work, being a flight attendant, I could not nap. I just released all of my need to control, because that was old Sarah. Old Sarah needed to stranglehold everything.
Yeah.
Be in control. If I loosen the grip, what will happen? Well, I let the go of the grip and let's see what happens. And afterwards, after that day, I had so much more energy. I was so much more creative. I was
Mm,
refreshed. I was showing up more for the people around me, like everyone, even my kids could
yeah.
see I had a spring in my step.
Yeah.
And that is the beauty of just being intuitive with what you need in the day,
Yeah.
not following the checklist. Not going, "Oh, I'll just meditate for 30 minutes and then I'll get back to that push," because then it's
Yeah.
counteracting.
Yeah.
Mm,
Oh, I love that. And I so agree with you. And I think the other thing is we're so conditioned to not give ourselves that one day. Like that's so, you and I both have said this before. The coding is, we feel lazy.
yeah.
That's that old coding is, that's a lazy thing to do. And it's not, it's really like you've described, it's so powerful. And what we're coded to do instead is the opposite of that. So I love that you share that and the power of how you felt after.
Mm,
Um, because what we're coded to do is push through, and then people go on holidays and they get sick, they collapse, then their body goes, oh my God, I have, a whole term's worth of daily naps or however often, weekly nap that I didn't get. And people really crash and burn or worse. So taking it, that intuitive taking it when your body is saying, I need it, that's to me, and I love in how you described, that's the biggest shift to me. I'm the same as you, and you and I haven't shared that before, but I'm not a morning meditator. I'm not a take specific ritual off daily. I'm my soul connection is just like, and it's just like yours, really. We are just these women who we move through our whole day in commune with that part of ourselves. And all of my day is a nudge from soul. Do this, do that, go here, go there. What does my body need in this moment? And when you're the subtlety of that, for me, is the biggest change in my life. Because, and I'm curious to hear more about this for you, because I feel there's a parallel. um because it's funny, my work is about money, yours is about relationships, but actually in this conversation those things are better. But what's the top thing that improves with everything we're talking about is actually our health first.
mm,
Because don't you find that the biggest change in tuning into your spiritual side has been you're more tuned into your actual physical body and what it needs in every moment, and you give
absolutely.
it.
Absolutely. Like the things I used to ignore within,
Yes.
you'd have the niggles popping off, and I'd be like, "Oh, it's nothing. Take the Panadol and you push on with the day." Whereas
Yeah.
now, if you stop and listen to the niggles and go, "What do I actually need?"
Yeah.
That's when you get the, maybe you just need to sit down and have a cup of tea for half an hour. Like
Oh,
the simplest things, have that
yes.
glass of water that your body is screaming out for.
Yes.
Simplest things. And yet we are, like you said, we have been so conditioned to push through,
Yeah.
to not take a breath, to stop being lazy, to conform to the cattle prodding that we
I love
we
that
grew up in.
description.
Get out the pokers. I can hear the dog barking in the background. Move with the crowd. Like, don't be that black sheep that stands out. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, and not to say that I don't meditate or I don't journal, because I do. I
Sure.
love these practices. I
Same.
talk about them a lot with my clients. Like,
Yeah.
once you develop the practice and it's so ingrained and part of you, maybe you do need a structure when you start something new to get the hang of it,
Agreed.
get the feel of it. But once you feel it as part of your soul connection, you
Yeah.
can really let go of, I must do it now. And as you said, what do I need right now? What do I
Yeah.
need in this minute?
Yeah.
What do I need in my soul to shift this energy? And the answers will come from your
Yeah.
beautiful higher self coming straight to you. and it
Yeah.
might be different every time, or it might be a couple of practices back to back to entwine you. It might be grab all your crystals and go lay outside on the grass and just be at one with nature and hear the birds and look at the sky. Or it might be as simple as sitting in the dark. Like, the contrast is your soul knows what you need at any one moment to move you through. And I love that a health
Yes.
aspect, because we do focus on money. Like, we are so driven by money and wealth, and
Um,
we're so focused on the love and the all the beautiful chemicals that relationship, when it's doing well, brings in, and then when it's not going so well, we're hyper fixated on those down points as well. But underpinning everything, like, if our health is not there,
yeah.
if our body is not functioning, we forget about this human body. It
Yeah.
does need to function optimally for
Yeah.
us to be able to have these higher experiences. And if you are someone with, I don't want to say lacking in health, but lower quality of health, it's
Yeah.
going to be harder to tune into your soul. It's going to be harder to tap into that intuition. It's going to be harder to hear the nudges of the universe guiding us through, because our physical is also crying out for our attention.
It is. Yeah, it is. And on that, so I agree. You say that so beautifully, that our health is important for our life, and everything in life is better when our health is better, like so much flows from that. But it is really important to our spiritual connection. And I actually think that's why we were coded to numb from it.
Mm.
That's why we were programmed to block it off, because that's our power source. That's where soul-led people are the revolutionaries. And that's where the rebels come from, the people that are willing to go and say, no, no, not this. I'm going to do it differently, and lead from integrity. And our physical body is the channel for all of that. And having our that ability to relax our nervous system and open and relax our physical body and not be braced. We're so in that doing mode, we're so clenched and tight and oh yes, right? Can't you feel it? The shoulders
Yeah.
are up, you
Shoulders
know.
are in my ears, my back is tense, my stomach
Oh,
feels like it's going to throw up.
Oh, and this is it, when people get headaches and migraines and all of that stuff. And it's really a lot of that stems from, too much cortisol from nervous system in that state, and that we're not meant to be in for prolonged periods. And also that shoulders, everything's clenched over a laptop generally. And so it is. Yes, yes, or the phone. Yeah, neck creaked, everything. But coming back to our body, and the other part, which we'll come to, is our emotional health is the other, I feel, big part. They're connected. It's the big part of this frequency journey, is dancing with emotion. So I'd love to, move to that. But first of all, if I can, and I'm the podcast guest here, but I've got a question for you.
Go, Sheila,
And
go.
I know you're open to this, but I just think it would be gorgeous to explore this, because I'm curious listening to that first bit. Were you always Mrs. Open to the messages and soul aligned and everything right from the get-go? Or did you hit a point in your life where there was a dramatic shift and okay, now I'm open? And are you, happy sharing
Mm.
what that was?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I wasn't. I was head down, just trying to do life for a very big part of my life, and I always wondered why I was getting nowhere. Like, that hitting the brick sense for me was real. Begin to open myself up until I was in my early 30s, and I'd already birthed my first child, and with that comes a lot of opening, a lot of awakening, a lot of experiences that I didn't have before that part of my womanhood journey. And I kept thinking, there's something more, there's something more. And I couldn't place my finger on it. I'd never been a person of faith. I'd never explored religion in any way. Even the term God or angels or things like that, they sort of made me contract like a little bit of fear, like, oh, I'm not that person. Like judgment, probably, if I'm
Yeah.
being super honest, there was a bit of judgment there. But there was something nagging me that I couldn't leave alone, that there is more out there. There was more for me. There was a whole world that I wasn't seeing. And it wasn't until I had a very eye opening encounter with the veil lifting and being able to see energies not of this world firsthand with my eyes, that I was just like, holy fuck. Like, right, this is the nudges that was trying to push me along, and I wasn't getting the message in the right timing. And it was, I had this little lost soul that was wandering around my house because I had this beautiful little child that was this beacon of light, and this little lost child soul was having a lot of fun in my house, and it was draining my energy so much. I was so physically fatigued just from having this little energetic around. Um, and I had this experience where I saw it in the middle of the night, and I could have gone, "You crazy, Sarah." It was nothing. I could have gone that way, and I just
Yeah.
knew I wasn't. And I knew it was there. And I knew someone who was an acquaintance, even someone I didn't know that well. Just needed to tell them about this
Yeah.
experience. And from there, um, you know, helped the little soul move on out
Yeah.
of my house so we could all get some rest
Yeah.
and move it on its journey. But for me, that was the holy fuck, there is more than I
Yeah.
can physically see and touch.
Yeah.
Those nudges I was getting that there is something more was
Yeah.
more than what I thought it was. And then I went on the deep dive of, well,
What
what do
else?
people say about this?
Yeah.
What's out there? Um, Let me start using these terms that I had placed judgment on before. I'd never bought a crystal in my life.
Yeah.
Like, I'd never walked into a shop that sold crystals. Again, judgment there as well. Like,
Yeah.
so many, I had categorized all these things that I had never even delved into pigeonholes. That's not for me. That's not for me. That's not for me. That's not who I am. And I started to just play and get curious about
Mhm.
different things. Like, I know crystals are tangible. We can see them, we can touch them, they come from the earth. There is also something so intangible about them when you feel their energy coming through.
Mm.
Like essential oils as well. You can see them, you can smell them.
Yeah.
When you actually feel the energy coming from them and surround yourself with them, it all changes. Like, everything changes. When you start to hear your soul guidance so
Mm.
clearly, even when you're in moments of fear or lack or panic, you don't know what the next step is. When you hear it so clearly and you begin to trust that, that
Yeah.
becomes tangible.
Oh, a hundred
Mm.
percent. And I think you and I both at this point, as do many others, have tons of examples where when you listen to that and you
Mm.
did it's never the logical choice,
No,
it's
it's
always
never.
the why would you do that? That doesn't make sense choice. But when
Mhm.
you listen to it and you do it, you always go, oh, I'm so grateful I did that. Even tiny things. I'm so grateful I did that.
So grateful. A friend
Yeah.
at the time, she said, "Sarah, do you even want to go down this path?" Like,
Oh.
stepping into your spiritual, like, she's like, "Once you start, there's no going back." And I'm like, "I think I've already started." Like,
Yeah.
I don't think I can turn it off at this point. I couldn't put the shutters back down to
No.
go, "Oh, there's nothing else out there." Like, it had already begun. I had resisted it so long already. It was like, push, push
Yeah,
of the
it's
push.
it's all a bunch of hocus pocus when you've had a physical experience. And look, what you didn't touch on there, and I think people will be curious to hear that part of the story. So after you guys, released that energy back to wherever it needed to go, how did you feel in your space in your home after that?
Oh, wow. It was totally different.
Yeah.
It had been very dense, very fatiguing, as I
Yeah.
said.
Yeah.
Um, it had felt dark. And it was a high set house anyway, so I never truly felt grounded. I
Mhm.
always felt like I was a bit floaty.
Yeah.
After that experience, everything seemed lighter,
Yeah.
everything seemed brighter. Um, I could then, after that experience, feel when little energies were coming in and around, and I felt I had the confidence just to be like, okay, you can just move on.
Yeah.
I had the confidence and the power to be like, this it's not a place to stay and hang out.
Yeah.
You can just move through.
Yeah.
And in that particular house, there was quite a lot of energetics happening. Um,
Funny.
I've moved a few times. I don't have that coming through for me anymore, and I don't know if it's just something maybe I've shut off more, or if it's just the space I've created. Maybe a bit of both.
Both, I
Yeah,
suspect.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that's a beautiful thing. Like I know that I can turn it on, I can turn it off.
Yeah.
Um, I know there is a lot of people, like, oh, you had a ghost in your house. No, I didn't have a ghost in my house. There's no fear behind it. Um,
Yeah.
there's nothing to be worried about. I think, and then that opens up the whole big conversation about um, energy and spirit and transformation and the living body, right? Um, it is you see what you want to see, you feel
Yeah.
what you want to feel from it.
Yeah.
Um, but that was definitely a big shifting point in my life where I just started to question so much, and not in an interrogation way. It wasn't like, I must find out all these
No.
things. I was just open. I was open
Yeah.
to hearing people's experiences and what their belief systems were. And I love talking to people of different faith because to me, having a faith is more important than anything else. Someone who doesn't believe in anything,
Mm.
I that question that sits with my alarm bells. I question, I go, what do you think about then? Like, what do you question in life? But I find it so curious. Yeah. Great
And I
question,
think,
Sheila.
well, and I feel like, and it is, I love, that you shared all of that, because that's just beautiful context of, your spiritual journey. I think it's,
Mm,
yeah, it's gorgeous to hear all of that. And I feel like when I meet people who don't believe in things, what I feel like now is, um, because of the kind of experiences you and I have both had with the unseen, like you can't unknow it
mm,
once you have those really real experiences, the undeniable, I'll call it. And I
mm,
just go, I think different people experience them at different times, because I mean, for me, I was in my late 30s, I think, when all of that happened. Yeah, I was in my late 30s. So I had lived my life, like you said,
mm.
I call it muggle life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just being curious about that kind of stuff and reading books and loving, loving stories about this kind of thing, but not, yeah, not ever thinking that it was real. And then and for me, it's interesting. I'm not going to do my origin story like that. I'm actually going to do because this is the other bit that I'm curious about with you too. I'm going to do where did I start to really, and actually yours might be the same one, but where did I really start to bring this into my life and feel the impacts of it, start
Mhm,
weaving it into my everyday. So there was this phase for me of, I had that point at which, like you, a story where I had an otherworldly experience that was undeniable, and it was, in my case, enormously helpful. My teenage daughter had been very sick, and there was an intervention by an unseen, part of the world, and it healed her from stuff that doctors had just been completely puzzled by and weren't able to do anything with. So she and I came out of that, and I was going, why has nobody told me about this before? Why is everybody not talking about this after it happened? So I went into what you described, and the whole grabbing every book I could, finding every teacher I could find, immersion. But for me, because I was, I think, very left brain, and again, curious if you and I in this space are different because you feel more in tune with your energy and your body and more quickly. Are you more arty and creative?
Yeah, I'm not the
Yes.
logical person.
Okay, there you go. There
I
you
am not the
go.
problem solver.
There you go. And what I find is that means you're very right brain, and that's the part that opens to this. So for people, so then for me, I was very left brain, right? So I was the accountant, and then I went into tech, and I was extremely logical. So even though I'd had that experience, it was another, I would say, almost a decade before I could really feel and see it for myself. I thought everyone else were gifted, and it was that you were either anointed at birth with spiritual gifts or you weren't. And I
Mhm.
went, okay, so I'm not. That's what I thought. And what I was learning is no, no, you're blocking it because you believe you aren't.
Mm.
And you have to shift that. So my journey with this stuff, and I like sharing both because I think we'll have people listening that will, that will fit in different camps of this to have different experiences. So we're kind of doing both ends of the spectrum. Um, so with me, really felt blocked. And the place where it changed for me, and this will tell you why I do the work, this gives so much context on why I do the work I do now. For me, it was animal magic that helped me crack open my armor and drop that invisible shield that I didn't know was there over my heart. Yeah.
Mhm.
I had always been obsessed with animal communication. I had always, so we'll see what a New Zealander relates to here. So grew up watching Skippy, the kangaroo.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Maybe they didn't show Australian TV shows in New Zealand.
Yeah, we had the Blinky Bill, the koala.
Okay, isn't that
Yeah.
funny? So Skippy I was growing up in Ireland, and Skippy went as far as the Ireland and the UK, but obviously not shown in New
Mm.
Zealand.
I didn't make the cut.
No. So he would communicate. He was like a partner in crime, detective crime with the humans, and he would communicate with the kids, and they would get the message. What? The tax man is on the property? Okay, quick. So there was Skippy as a show. There was Flipper the dolphin as a show where there would be, this cross species communication. There was Lassie, there was Black Beauty, and I grew up they were my obsession. They were my absolute obsession. I want connections with animals that are at that level where we are sharing thoughts, like
Mm.
that to me was, oh my God, like that would be the most incredible thing in the world. And it's funny because that's my life now. I have the most amazing herd of 6 horses together. Half are my friends and half are mine, but they're together and I look after them. And they are magical beings and they do convey like that. They're incredible.
Mm.
They just, yeah, they convey and communicate with us all the time. And for me, I did an animal communication course. That was the nudge I got. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Not a coincidence, right? That's what you were
oh,
taught to as a child.
Oh,
That's what you're
100% right.
teaching.
This is the nudge. And it's that thing you and I spoke about this when you start going down into this world, that sense of I literally had people go like people were, I'm very lucky. I've never had people really throw shit at me. What I have instead is they'll all eye roll and laugh, you
Just the
know?
horses.
It's sweet, but it's not, but it is a bit still, you're crazy. Like it's that indulgent, oh, Sheila again. It's not mean judgment, but it's still judgment. And I had that, you're doing what? And it was incredible. It was 5 days up in the Noosa hinterland. That land is magic. I just love anyway. It was with an incredible bunch of human beings. I thought I couldn't get any messages, and I was surrounded by people that were getting literally paragraphs from each of the, animals that we were connecting with. And we connected with a whole bunch of animals, but for me, it was a rescue greyhound that came and sat with me, and I literally bawled. I was not a crier before that, and I sobbed. I bawled my eyes out, and I didn't know why. I had no idea why, but it's the walls were coming down. It just melted my blocks. And from that point on, I'll tell you one example because I just love the specific, right? I love the specific examples. So somewhere either that day or the next day on that same retreat, we were learning how to do a technique where you take your consciousness and you, with permission, enter another's body to find where the stuck energy is in their body. And it's a technique that people use with animals to help diagnose where there's a health issue. And so we were practicing it on humans. So we were partnered up, and I was partnered up with a woman who I had never, it was a big enough retreat. We hadn't crossed paths. So we'd never spoken. And I'd never heard her speak up to that point. So we knew nothing about each other. She hasn't spoken yet, and that's important to the story. And we're told to stand in silence, no talking. She wants us, the lead of the retreat wants us not talking. And she said, now go for it. I want you to do this exercise, take it in turns. And I went first to check her out with her permission. And I go in, and up to this point, I am like, the emperor's new clothes. Like, none of this is real. I'm not getting anything. And I'm looking around the room going, you guys are all seeing something I'm not. Like, are you all crazy? Like, what am I missing? And knowing it was me that was blocked. And I do this with this woman, and I go in and I'm feeling nothing, wondering, is this working? And next thing I feel at her throat. I just all of a sudden just feel the energy is stuck. It's just harder for me to move through. And then I go down into her hands, and I feel it's harder to move. And I feel around her chest, it's harder to move. And that was it. They were the things I felt. So definitely in her hands, her throat, and her chest. So come back out, close up everybody's consciousness again, clean our cords between us. And I say, this is what I got. I have no idea what it means. And she spoke. And the moment she spoke, she went, I smoke 40 cigarettes a day. And you could instantly hear somebody who's, full throat blocked, full this space
Oh my
blocked.
goodness.
Like the second I heard her, so you know that, the sound of somebody who's a 40 pack a day person.
Uh-huh.
And I have arthritis in my hands is what she said. And that was the other place I'd felt the energy. And I've gone like, oh my holy,
Oh.
And had I not had the experience with the Greyhound, I think my walls had been up enough that I would never have had that. Um, there's more stories to tell. I went
Mm.
on with those same retreat leaders because I had such a special experience. They were doing a swimming with dolphins in Hawaii a year later, and
Oh.
without even hearing the price, when they told us on this retreat, I just went, sign me up. Sign me up. I don't care the date. I don't care how long it is. I don't care how much it costs. Sign me up. That sounds incredible. And
Yeah.
that again was the level of, I can see the leaps in my life from the frequency magic I experienced from working with those swims with those dolphins. Like again, those, yeah, just wow.
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 Wow. I
Yeah,
mean,
you
that's not
know?
just a tourist experience, right? Like that
No,
is a
no.
soul shifting, powerful
It
experience.
was, Sarah, and I love that you describe it like that because I watched while I was in Hawaii, the touristy ones, and you could just see the boats rushing to get ahead of a moving pod and then throwing the swimmers in the water, and then the pod just kept, just swims through them. And then they grab the swimmers again and they go chase the dolphins, which you're not meant to do. That's a really intrusive way to do it. And actually, Hawaii has since made it illegal to swim with dolphins. And I think thankfully, because that's what was happening. But the people that I went out with, it was an energetic invitation. Would you like to swim with us today? This is where we are, or let us know where you are. And we would always ask that before we head out on the boat. And we would, people would all get the message and we would compare notes. Where did you hear? And there would always be a majority in a particular location. We would go there, we would get in the water, and dolphins would swim for 2 hours in a circle around and around and around. And you would come out, it was like you're in a vortex. It felt like 20 minutes. And they would say, no, no, you've been in the water for 2 hours. I just don't, I can't, I will never have words to explain what happened, but I know that it was deeply healing. I know people who knew me really well said, you are so different when I came back. And I felt, so this is one of the reasons why, and it loops back to something. One of the reasons why I want to share that is what I found they did for me. And again, I'm going to throw this back on you and go, where have you experienced this in your life? Because you will have. Um, what they did for me is it isn't just we're at one frequency and then we work with these animals and they take us to another and that feels great. What I noticed is that when you do that work, you drop a whole bunch of emotional baggage that you've been carrying around, old stories and old beliefs. And I will tell you very quickly a funny story. I then went on another of these. I went on two more of those retreats because they just were so magic. Yes. And just very quickly, on one of those, I had on the same swim. So we would go out and swim for a week with dolphins. And on one particular day, I had two dolphins literally poop in my face. And I went, it was in the water, right? So it's okay. It disperses really quickly and you've got a snorkel and a thing on. So you're not breathing it in, but ooh, at the same time, ooh, right? That's not what anybody imagines when they think I'm swimming with dolphins. But I tell that story. And I remember even in the debrief circle after telling the story, going, if it happened once, I would dismiss it as, you're in the ocean with beings, that's bound to happen. The fact that it was two in a row, you know what it was? It was let your shit go. Black and
Tell me
white.
any clearer, can it?
Couldn't be. Let your shit go. And if they swore, I think they would have put in an effing.
Yeah.
And it was so clear. And it's like, but that's what they did. Because by raising your frequency, what I found over and over again is the and I see this in the work I do with women. In fact, the session I did on Tuesday, and I know you've watched it, I have a video up of a debrief of a session I did on Tuesday with a woman who had this experience where she came into me and she had a list of 10 limiting beliefs around why making more money was going to be hard for her. And she had all different things, like couldn't see a number of them about she couldn't see how she could do that. A number of them where if the way she could see how was going to make her sick and burnt out, and it was all going to be hard and it was going to just not take the fun out of life. And she was holding on to those. We did, instead of tackling that, I did frequency work with her. So I recoded something in her body that was, anchoring all of those. And I asked her afterwards, now I'm going to read the list out to you again. How do you feel about all those? And she just laughed at me and went, I don't even know who that is, you know? Like, just none of those exist anymore. And to me, that's what frequency work, like, that's why it's so powerful, because the old stories just fall away. Whereas people who sit there and try and do mindset work or some of the other things, like, I just feel like you're repeating yourself all the time. Whereas when I do things like the horse work I do, or the dolphin work, or I'm doing a whale swimming retreat in Tonga in September, and I go, it just, and like that, for me, that Greyhound was my moment of it. They blast our shit away and take you to this frequency that, I'm not saying I stayed there forever afterwards, but you never go back, and your new baseline is different. That's how I'll
Yes,
describe it. My new baseline is different. So I'm going to hand over because I can see you
absolutely.
ready to go. Tell me your equivalent of
Well,
this.
I this is the power of retreats, right? And being surrounded by other people with the same intention, being there with facilitators that hold that space for you,
Yeah,
coming in and doing that inner work with professionals that
yeah,
know what they're doing, because you are in safe hands where you can actually drop what you're holding on to. So feeling being around people and being in retreats or
yeah,
being held by a facilitator allows us to like pull down those masks, pull down those fronts we've been holding onto for so long, again with that strangle grip, and actually feel the emotion coming out. And we don't need to go into the stories of it. And
yeah,
we don't need to know exactly what it is. And for me, like the
yeah.
most recent big shift, I mean, we've had a session, there was massive shifts within there, but another one that comes to mind was earlier in the year, I went on a retreat, and when I signed up for it, I didn't even know, there was no intention why apart from I need to be there. Very,
Mm,
really similar to what you were saying. I need to be there. I'm going. Book me in. I was the first one that signed up 20 minutes after the email came out.
oh,
And literally, we had to take a little boat over to get to the location. And until I was literally on that boat, 5 minutes from pulling into the driveway, I had no idea what my intention was for going. And we'd
yeah,
been doing the pre work and I'd been doing it surface level and going, what is it, Sarah? Like, go deeper. And nothing was coming. I was still blocking it. And then I'm on that boat and it just hit me like a ton of bricks. I'm like, oh, oh, all of that. That's why I'm coming here. And which was great because we jumped in and we went feet first into the deep stuff straight away. And it was amazing. Like the first day, we went very deep, very safe, very supported.
mm,
And on that night, there was just this bubble of energy that had been wedged in my stomach. And I just had to leave the group. They were all about to do a sound healing experience. And I just had to get up. And I just was like, Spirit was just like, go outside, Sarah. Go and get your feet on the grass. So I went out to the grassy area. I was sitting there. I literally was wriggling my body around. It was about like I was in labor, like without
oh,
without the pushing pain, but I had like I felt sick, I felt nauseous, I was wriggling my body, and I just had in my head, well, in my head, my soul was saying, you don't need to know what it is. Just
yeah,
let it out. You
yeah,
don't need to know. And our human goes, but what is it? What
yeah,
am I holding on to?
yeah.
Why have I been holding? And I just knew it had been there a really, really fucking long time. And it was time for it to go. And I literally wriggled it out and did a
Oh,
massive burp. And then I lay back on the grass and I looked at the amazing country sky full of stars. And I just lay there for about half an hour. And then I went back up to the group and they were like, are you good? And I'm
yeah,
like, I am really good.
yeah,
Apart from mosquitoes had attacked my face. So I had like these massive, like, welts on my face. And then they were all sitting down to dinner. And I'm like, I don't feel nauseous. I know the energy has been released, but I don't want to fill it with stuff straight away. So
yeah,
that was really important for me to acknowledge like this energy, this emotional energy has shifted within my body, and I'm
yeah,
listening to my guidance on exactly how to move it through.
yeah,
Um, and exactly what to do next in the process afterwards. Like it would have been so easy to sit down, tuck into a meal, and be like, yeah, back to normal. But no, for me, I'm like, this space has just been created. It needs to be allowed to breathe.
Yeah.
And the beautiful thing about that retreat experience was that was what the whole retreat was about, was you know exactly, I know exactly what to do for my body. You listen to the whispers, you do what you need to do. And
Yeah.
that was a huge moment for me,
Yeah.
stepping into my power and being like, I do know exactly how to heal what I need to heal, how to let go of what I need to let go, knowing that I don't have to go into the stories or the bullshit of everything, just to
No.
let it leave me. It was so
No.
beautiful. That
That's
was
so magic.
mm,
And I love that. Thank you. Like what a cool, like a really cool story. And when people are like burp is funny, it is one of the things that
mm,
one of the ways yawning.
morning. Yes,
Yawning is another one, right? So it is we're
absolutely.
just letting it out. It's so visceral. Um yeah, it is so visceral. But what you said there, I want to just repeat something you said because I think this is so not well understood, and I think it is so crucial. You said the whole retreat, and for you it was about, you used the word stepping into your power, and we see that a lot. But you said what stepping into the power was for me, and this is true for all of us, was listening to the whispers
Mm,
throughout the whole experience of what my body needed. And we have this image that stepping into my power is somehow, grabbing a crown and whatever that, the golden thing with the gem on top is that a queen holds. And we have this image of it standing on a platform or sitting on a throne. And it just feels like this big dramatic moment. And I go, no, it's a million different tiny little whispers, and it's all day long. Like you and I,
mm.
this is how we live, and that's the change. And again, the work I do with the women that come to me and that you do, is the change is your life changes when you start listening to that voice over the human brain, which has all the patriarchal coding in it. The whispers have the source of your power.
Oh
It's
my
that
God.
simple.
Goosebumps.
Yeah.
Goosebumps on
Yeah.
that, Sheila.
Well, and you said it. I
Mm.
am literally just,
You just marry.
making sure
But
nobody missed it.
um, but I think that is what we do, and that is the message we share every day, whether it be in the work that we do or if it's just in the conversations we have with people. Like, I love just talking to people and spreading that message. Like, everybody has something coming up, some shit, there's always something.
Yeah.
And yet, if we remind each other, hey, but you know how to work through that, you know what to do, what's calling you, you know your next step, you can trust it. When we remind each other in those moments every day, oh my gosh, we are all so powerful. And that is how we rise and we build each other up.
Yeah, it
Oh,
is. It is. And look, I'm just going to throw in there, and I know we're at a point now where we'll be closing out, but I'm just going to throw in there, and I alluded to this earlier, but a big part of that work is for you and for I and the women we work with is it's not being afraid to feel the feelings.
mm,
Like that's the big thing. We've been coded to numb, we've been coded to distract, avoid, work instead of be. And it's not the being, it's the being with the discomfort.
mm.
And not being afraid to actually, like you did, to actually birth that uncomfortable feeling.
It was so uncomfortable, and I
Ah,
just had to be with it.
we all have those, and we've carried them in, like we've carried them in from our grandmothers, we've carried them in from our mothers. You imagine their lives, how much they had to suppress because they couldn't, it wasn't appropriate
No.
in their era to express the way it is for us now, to feel, to be as dramatic as we can be, to be as emotional as we can be. They were really suppressed in those earlier lifetimes, and we
Yeah.
carry that.
And that's why dissociation is such a prevalent thing in our society,
Yeah.
because it has just come through, wound through. This is what we do so we can survive. but
Yeah.
we're actually safe and we can feel these. And I'm never ashamed to say when I've had a bad day or when I've spent the day bawling my eyes out. Um, because to
Yeah.
me, it's so important that we
Yes.
actually get real and we get honest and we go, this is me releasing my emotions.
Yeah.
I'm not hiding them. I'm not getting stuck in them. I'm
Yeah.
letting them go because I know the next day I'm going to feel amazing again and I'm going to
Yeah.
raise my vibrational level will be back up to its like happy medium state, if not higher, because it's had a massive release.
Ah,
And that
yeah.
is part of doing any work, like you go on a retreat or you do the deep dive work. You need to be prepared that in a 2 hour session, you're going to open up. It's going to be the next couple of days or the next week or so where you're going to be riding that wave where you feel like you're going to be expressing all of that and releasing it. And that it's not that you had a bad session because
Mm.
people go, I felt really shit after that, Sarah. And I'm like, great. That's fantastic. That's where you want to be. Like, you want to open it up. You want to be feeling the things that for generations we have been
Shoveling
suppressing.
down. Yeah.
Like, it's not going to feel bloody roses and cotton candy and rainbows for the next week or so.
Yeah.
After that, oh, that's when the
Yeah.
magic starts to settle in and you feel it.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
agree. I agree.
Mm.
It's big work. And I think we wouldn't, I say this, we wouldn't have the roles we do if we didn't have all of that suppressed in our bodies and all that coding. That's why we're here, because we're helping to, release that. And then we can all go back to just, dancing around barefoot, listening to the whispers of our soul and enjoying our lives and stretching forward into, just the big expressions that our soul came here, like it has such a big appetite for life. And it's our coding that has us afraid to pursue that, thinking I've got to work really hard to pay bills and all of those things.
Yeah.
So, yeah, pursuing our soul magic is just yeah. Ah,
Oh, absolutely. I know when we did our session together, one of my main themes came out was have fun. And I've got to
yeah.
say, Sheila, since we have had our session, like I have reminded myself constantly, I am embodying it. Probably
Oh,
not fully there yet. It's okay because it's a work in progress. But when I would be about to kick into self sabotage or the negative
yeah.
thoughts dropping in, I'm like, Sarah, have some fun.
Mm,
And that is like the most beautiful gift anyone can help you realize. It's just like this life, it's fun.
yeah.
I take it so seriously.
Oh, so seriously. And that was and I love, thank you for sharing that, because I love that you are, you've stayed with it. Because
Yeah.
sometimes we have those sessions and it stays for about, I find, a week to 10 days. And then because we're gone back into the collective gunk again,
Mm,
if you don't have the embedded, embodied work that we have, you get caught up in that again and you just recalibrate to the gunk again. And so, that's why, again, you and I like to do work with women over a longer period rather than, simply a one off. But the work I did with the woman on the client I had on Tuesday, what we nicknamed it was Venus vibes, because I know, right? And isn't
I
it
love
just,
it.
I know, right? And it's the fun, and it's more, you can see how it's just more, which is why I'm inviting you into that, now next time you go have fun, go
Yes.
explore your Venus vibes.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
because
Love it.
can't you feel that? There's more
Ooh.
frequency to that. There's more pleasure. There's
Mm.
more like that daytime naps. There's more like, oh, it just feels more luxurious in its, pursuit of fun. And again,
Yes.
you'll know this. That's that, pulling you into soul, pulling you into the piece of us that's been ignored, and it's again, I'm always conscious of, I'm not telling everybody to lie around and eat grapes all day. Like this is not what this work is. But we have to come out of slavery mode and really, we're robots,
Mm,
and we're screwing up our health. We're screwing up our relationships. People
mm,
aren't enjoying the people that they are in relationship with as much when you are just in that overgiving, overdoing, overthinking mode, over worrying mode. And when you come into balancing it with Venus vibes, um, that's when the magic, that all the magic that we've spoken
mm.
about really opens up. So tapping into our Venus vibes.
I love that. Oh my gosh, it just feels so sexy and so sensual, so
Ah,
full, like the Kundalini. Oh my gosh, like on fire. It makes
yeah,
me feel on fire in the most
yeah,
alive way.
yeah,
And that's like what you say. We dull it out, but bring back the fire to life. Oh, I love
yeah.
it. Thank you so much, Sheila. I've had the best conversation here. I've had the best chat. I don't know about everyone else. I'm sure everyone else listening has loved it as well. And definitely some massive takeaway points. And even if just like one or two of the aspects that we chat about, like land for someone, like this is your time to hear that. You can always come back to the episode and hear more of the juiciness. It's just like reading a book at the start of an awakening process. It might not land straight away. You might
Yeah.
come back to it in a year and you might hear something else, like the golden nuggets come through, and it leads you in another direction. Oh, get the Venus vibes out today. That is like, it's going to be my thing for the weekend. Thank you,
It's
Sheila.
beautiful. And I can see you. I could see you, your hair. I could see you like a little
Oh
plait across here. And
my
yeah,
gosh.
I
You're
can
a
so,
mind reader. That was literally the plait across the forehead was on my mind the other day, going,
yeah,
how can I do that? Because I'm not a
yeah.
talented stylist.
No, I can see it. I can see it with you. I so can. And that's that. Yeah, I love it. And I think too, when you're talking about takeaways from today, right? So the other ones for me, let your shit go and listen to your whispers.
Listen to the whispers,
Yep.
absolutely. And if you can't let your shit go, think of the dolphin just sitting in the ocean. Instant vibration changer there, right?
I'm like I said, so we're gonna swim with whales in September. Can you imagine if a whale did that?
Oh my gosh, you've
We'd
missed the
drown
whole
in whale
work.
poop.
Fantastic. Oh my gosh, if someone wants to join your whale trip, how can they do that?
Just DM me and we'll be picky. It's going to be a very intimate group. It's women only. And we can have a chat and make sure we're a fit, but just, yeah, you'll have the links to my social media and people can
Mhm.
DM if they're interested.
Perfect. That sounds so amazing. All
Yeah.
right. Thank you, Sheila. Thank you, my beautiful empresses. Go out and get your Venus vibes on for the day. Go back, subscribe, give this a 5-star review because this has been an epic chat. And I know that you're going to be leaving this conversation just like energy high, loving life, and having some fun. So thank you all for being here.